Times of India Literary Carnival 2013. Our next session is romance past its sell-by date? India's most beloved romantic writers, Anuja Chauhan and Ravinder Singh, swing between cynicism and gush with moderator Bandana Tiwari. A little bit about Anuja Chauhan. She's a Gurgaon-based novelist, ad woman and screenwriter. Her 3 novels, The Zoya Factor, Battle for Bitora, and Those Pricey Thakur Girls, were and continue to be national bestsellers. She keeps her deadline muscle toned by writing a regular column, Schizo Nation, for The Week magazine. Currently, she is working on a commissioned screenplay for the Anil Kapoor Film Company, editing an anthology of romantic fiction, and writing the sequel to her 3rd novel titled The House That BJ Built. Ravinder Singh is the highest romance-selling author in India. His books have sold more than 1.5 million copies. Ravinder has been listed as one of India's top 100 celebrities by Forbes India this year. He is an MBA from the renowned Indian School of Business. Before he took up writing full-time, Ravinder had worked in the IT sector for about 8 years. His IT career started at Indian IT giant Infosys and ended at Fortune 100 global IT giant, Microsoft, both being his dream companies to work with. He has recently started his own publishing venture called Black Ink. Ravinder loves playing snooker in his free time and is also crazy about Punjabi music. Bandana Tiwari has made a name for herself as one of the fashion industry's smartest commentators. As fashion features director of Vogue India, she has quickly become the go-to source for anyone who wants to learn about the country's rapidly evolving luxury market. Recently, she was named to Industry Magazine's Fashion Media A-list alongside other leading fashion commentators, including Catherine Holline, Tim Blanks, and Susie Menkes. May I please request all the panelists to come on stage, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the panelists and myself, Bandana, thank you for coming and joining us. We hope it's going to be a rambunctious session where we talk about romance and perhaps the death of romance. And our topic, as you know, is romance past its sell-by date? And needless to say, we've got 2 panelists here who are prolific writers. They have incredible followings online and offline. And I'm sure most of you have read the books. I will get down to the questions right away. So I'm sorry, just to clarify, I will be standing here and be the moderator because I have a spinal problem and unfortunately I can't sit with the lovely writers. So my first question to both of you, given the nature of the fiction that you write, we are in the age of the selfie, of self-love, of self-adulation. So given this scenario, where does romance and love, which essentially means extending yourself outward, not inward, where does that stand and how do you debate that and talk about that in your novels? You want to start, Anuja?
No, we just need some help with the mics. I don't think this is...
We need help with the mic, please.
Is yours on?
No, yeah, mine is
yours,
on. Yeah.
Yours is on.
But I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I can't hear what you're saying.
Can you hear me?
Okay, this...
Okay.
Can you guys hear me? Oh, good. Then we're all good.
Right.
Okay.
But did you hear what she's...
Yeah, I think you said we're living in the age of the selfie. Everyone is very selfish, so where does that leave romance?
Yes.
Tell us.
Well, I don't know if we can put this tag on to everyone. And before we also jump into the whole discussion, I would like to take a minute and interpret the whole subject of romance passed by its sell date. We certainly agree that we can't put love on sale, and therefore there is no sell date. We definitely can put love stories on sale. And if we talk about the sale date of these love stories, I still would not agree that there is any sale date. If at all there is any, beyond that everything becomes classic. So in spite of the fact that we talk about the selfish mode of love, then it's not love to me, because my definition of love would be very different. And therefore, it's beyond any deadline.
Sorry to interrupt, but in the same token, we are talking about a world that has changed rapidly, and the idea of love, the notion of love has become so complex and so multi-layered that perhaps a simplistic idea of love doesn't work anymore. So in fact, I was just reading an article in The Atlantic that came out this year on Valentine's Day, and they talked about the notion of love 2.0, where the original idea of love and, you know, this love is all conquering seems to be passé, and also the love that is extended out to this one person, your eternal love, seems to be passé too. So they were debating that perhaps love 2.0 is a love that goes beyond a lover, that goes beyond the one person that you have to have for the rest of your life. I mean, so in that sense, in your novel, when you write about, let's say, Ravin's love for his girlfriend, at some level, it's a very, I wouldn't say simplistic, but extremely pure form of love, which somehow seems to evade us in this day and age.
See, you know, firstly, I'd make a differentiation between romance and love. These are two very separate things. I think we're talking about romance here today. And I do feel that this is a very fast-paced, it's a time where everyone's doing a lot of things together. You don't have too much time. It's a cynical world today. For romance, I think the most important thing is that you need heroes for romance. You know, you need heroic characters. People you can look up to. That is really the essence of romance, you know, of it always. A romantic story is a story of an underdog. It's of someone with moral fiber, that kind of a thing. And then that person has like a love relationship, and that is romance. I've just come out from watching the election results in Delhi today. And as we're coming out, you're seeing that Arvind Kejriwal is on the brink of toppling Sheila Dikshit. Now for me, that is a hugely romantic story. It's romantic in the sense of here's someone who's a complete underdog, who's come out of nowhere and who's doing this. And I feel that in the times in India now, we are starved of genuine heroes. We want to make a hero out of someone, and then something sordid comes out, and there goes our hero, he has feet of clay. So I think that the general lack of romance and grand love has got a lot to do with us not having people like that out there who can, who are worthy of big romantic stories.
But having said that, and I have to take you to task for this, a beautiful book that she wrote called The Zoya Factor, I have to say has a lot of cynicism too in it about love. So the protagonist, Zoya, she seems to always vacillate between the idea of this man the cricketer that she sort of pines for, and is always sort of moving from lust and longing, which you deftly put in capital L's all along, right? There is a sense of cynicism because here is a character who is falling in love with, as you said, a character that stands for something. But she seems to sabotage her own romance by doubting and bringing in the cynicism of her time. Isn't that who Zoya is in the book?
But that's true, isn't it? I mean, that's how, umeed pe jahan kayam hai. You know, everyone's hoping in this cynical world to find that kind of romance. Whether it is like a love relationship romance, or it's romance about a large issue, or something that you're fighting, or something that you believe in. We do live in cynical times, and I think the romance shines even brighter in those cynical times, which is why you'd see such brilliant stories coming out of troubled places in the world, like in Afghanistan or Pakistan, where a lot of beautiful literature is coming out simply because the times that they're living in are so cynical. That's all the more reason that you want to believe in romance at that point. So I think that the two go in tandem, that when you're falling in love, there is also a lot of self-doubting of the emotion and of the person to whom that emotion is directed. I think that's part of it.
Sure.
But to your point, sorry to cut in the middle, but to your point that the version 2.0 or maybe 3.0, and there could be so many versions of it, but the basic essence and the very fundamental of the love equation remains the same. which is the sense of sacrifice for each other. Otherwise, it could be a one-sided story, and it will be a one-sided love or romance, whatever you call it.
So, okay, going back to what you've just said, is again the character Raven in one of his books. Okay, he's madly in love with this woman. They've lived in Belgium. They look like a perfect couple. But when they come back home and they get separated, in the sense the boy has to come back and live in India and the girl wants to live in Belgium, somewhere when I was reading the book, I felt that these are debates. You know, suddenly the clash starts coming out. This lovely love affair starts finding its little potholes on very simple issues of, does the woman have to follow the path of the man to then create this ideal love situation? The fact that he wants to come back home to look after his parents becomes a problem because she wants to lead an independent life in Belgium. I just felt somewhere this sort of debate, I was hoping we could have arisen out of. I felt it wasn't equal a relationship, and therefore the idea of love has to be debated, because you're talking about two equal partners in a relationship, and I felt that this sort of juxtaposition of what a man wants and a woman wants and what a woman wants may not necessarily be as important as a man somewhere came across in your novel.
I'm so glad that you brought this topic out, and after completing this book, so she's talking about Can Love Happen Twice, which is my second book. I've come out in the open. So many people have asked me the question, is this 100% Ravin's own story, the way you have come out in the world and said that I too had a love story is 100% my story. I have time and again told that I do not want to let you know that whether it's story mine or not. However, I really want to believe that this is this generation's story, because around myself I find so many love stories which are so complicated in nature, so much so that there have been status on social networking sites, those shows I'm in a complicated relationship. Having said that, my point is that there are, in the real life, the character of Ravin could be a girl as well, and the character of a Simmer could be a boy's nature as well. But yeah, you need to introspect what's right and what's wrong. I also believe that it should be a common platform for both the guy and the girl, and should not be, you know, one-sided story that, hey, I command and you need to do this. In that story, there are so many sacrifices that this character called Ravin, and I'm not saying that it's Ravinder Singh, but for the sake of simplicity, let's call him Ravin. He's willing to make so many sacrifices, but then one thing he's standing by, which he has told the girl even before accepting her proposal, that my family comes first, and I cannot let go one of my responsibilities to pick up, you know, new cherries in my life. So as long as you have cleared your point in the beginning before you say those three wonderful words, and not be blind enough, even though we say love is blind, but then not blind enough before you make a commitment, I think you're on a good note then.
I'm going to come back with a retort for that, but before that I want to ask Anuja a question. I know that it bothers you to no end when your novels are called chick lit. In fact, I'm going to quote what I found online, which I thought was quite lovely, where she says, hold on. Chicks are small, brainless, powerless creatures bred to be eaten. I'm not a chick, and I don't want to write for chicks. Then I want to know, who do you write for?
See, this always sounds very self-centered and obnoxious, but I find that most readers say this, and most writers say this, and I say this too. I write for myself. I write, if I giggle when I write, I'm happy. And then the hope is always that there are enough people like me who will appreciate the kind of humor that I'm writing, or will appreciate the kind of romance I'm writing. So you just hope that there are enough people out there who have the same taste that you do. And I think that's the purest way to write. Because if you start writing for a particular, you know, with an audience in your head, then you're going to do a lot of second guessing, and you're just going to end up totally paralyzed. And I don't think anyone should do that, and I don't think any writer, you know, who writes well is doing that in any case.
But do you not feel that you cater to a particular readership? Because, you know, your writing is so embedded in the social fabric that you belong to, for instance. I mean, Zoya Factor, for that matter, is really seems something of your life in advertising. As you know, Anuja is a very, very accomplished creative director in a wonderful advertising agency who brought great catch lines, you know, bubbly oi and nothing official about it, all those incredible lines that we cannot forget. You know, you were the inventor of those lines. So you belong to a very sort of active advertising world, and you reference it a lot. And again, of course, Zoya Factor is against the backdrop of the big cricket match, the World Cup. So there is a certain profile of people, especially women, that you are catering to.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's right. I've written 3 novels so far. The first one is set against a World Cup because that happened to be where my life was at that moment. I was doing my 4th World Cup campaign for Pepsi, so it was sort of coming out of my ears. My second novel, Battle for Bitora, is again a topic that my editors were saying, are you sure you want to go here? Because it was all about a Lok Sabha election and very far removed from the kind of girls who would have appreciated the Zoya Factor. But it was something I really wanted to write, and so it came out. My third novel is set in the 80s. And again, the question was raised that, do you want to write a novel in the 80s where there's, you know, there's no SMS, there's no internet, romance is very different in the 80s from where it is now, and will your readers be disappointed? And again, it was, no, I really want to write this, so let me just write it and see where it goes. Because see, I do advertising for money and for competitiveness and all those things, and I try to keep my writing pure and just write for the sheer joy of writing and for putting down what comes in my head and having that control. Because advertising, there's so much of this target audience and the kurkure